1991, a year when Peugeot decided to give a little boost to a 205, which, although aging, still had charm. The idea to release a smaller car, a kind of spiritual descendant of the 104. A transition model while waiting for the big revelation of 1998, the 206. Mission accomplished for the 106, which easily seduced its audience with its numerous versions from the simple city car to the sporty one, full of pep, gasoline, diesel, and even electric. She swept everything in her path. In 3 or 5 doors, it doesn't matter, the 106 managed to sneak everywhere, and in 13 years, it achieved the feat of approaching 3 million copies. Today, we too often forget this little star, and it's a real shame because we're going to see that she deserves much more than a simple, distracted glance. Today, we reflect on her story. By the late 1980s, Peugeot recognized the urgent need to plan for the future. The 205 continues to charm since its 1982 launch, but the little 104 breathed its last in 1988. A void is then created in the city car market, and it becomes urgent to fill this gap. The idea: add a model that would come to play the substitutes in the range so as not to let the 205, already a star but aging, get too many wrinkles without a successor. Peugeot is well aware of this. The 205 has set the bar so high that we cannot afford to mess up its successor. The future 206, scheduled for 1998, will have to be a worthy heir, and the pressure is enormous. As a result, we opt for a strategy worthy of the best Hollywood scenarios, framing the aging diva with the 2 young leads, the 106 below and the 306 above, replacing the 309. This strategy proves profitable. The 205, even at the end of its career, ends up doing honorably despite a reduced range. The 206, on the other hand, makes history to become the best-selling Peugeot of all time. As for the 106 and the 306, they do not disappoint either, far from it. And so let's get back to our 106. Make no mistake, this is not a low-cost car, even though it uses the chassis of the Citroën X launched in 1986. Although it shares genes with the latter, the 106 is nonetheless a modern car. It benefits from a well-born chassis, as is often the case with Peugeot at the time, and is equipped with TU engines known for their legendary reliability. But where the 106 stands out is that it aims to be more upscale than its Citroën cousin. Safer too, at the same time it wasn't difficult. So sure, it weighs a bit more, but that's normal. We're talking about a car that focuses on comfort and equipment. And although it succeeds the 104 in the small city car niche, the 106 does not let itself be done. It is bigger. The 3-door 104 is 11 feet and 9 inches long, identical to the 5-door version. And the 5-door version approaches the dimensions of the 205 with 3.68 meters against 3.61 meters. Surprisingly, the 106 appears significantly more compact visually. This is due to a more fluid and slender line, inspired by the larger 405 and 605 models. A little magic trick of style, signed Peugeot. The 116 made its debut in grand style in 1991, with a press presentation in the middle of the year, before invading dealerships from September 12th. And here, beware, the first version that lands is only the 3 doors, with a range of petrol engines, 1 liter, 1 liter 1, and 1 liter. The finishes, there is something for all tastes. XN for the entry level, XR for the middle, XT for the high end, and XS for those who want a bit of sport in their daily life. But the real stroke of genius comes in November 1991, where Peugeot adds the XSI version with its 100 horses, just to make a little more noise on the market. We must wait until 1992 to see the diesel engines and 5-door version arrive. There, it's the consecration. The A106 is nearly 300,000 copies sold that year. A real proof that the car perfectly meets the market's expectations. With an impressive start, the A106 quickly catches Peugeot's attention, who prominently features it in their catalog. And for that, he spares no expense. Offbeat advertising campaign, but also a flurry of limited series and variations starting from 1993. Phase 1 in particular will give rise to a whole range of versions that will allow the 106 to carve out a choice place in the market. Thus, we will see the appearance of the 106 Rally, a small sports car that takes on the colors and philosophy of its big sister, the 205. There is also the Roland Garros version, chic as you like, or the Claw, downright very chic. The XSI Le Mans will complete the picture, a collector's model for purists. And of course, there is the 106 Kid, a low-cost version that will integrate into the range and many more. The 106 copies the winning recipe of the 205, mastering it perfectly and becomes the favorite car of young people, women, and those living in beautiful neighborhoods. But despite all this diversity, the 106 never ventures far from its roots. Despite internal roadster projects and attempts by the German coach builder Elia, the 106 will remain true to itself. A compact classic sedan, but oh so effective. Let's go back to the XSI, which debuted shortly after the launch of the 106 in November 1991. The name GTI was 280s, so they hesitated between XTI and XSI, and finally, they opted for the latter. In terms of engine, the XSI is equipped with a TU of 1,360 cubic centimeters, with multi-point direct injection delivering 98 horsepower in its first version. In 1993, the new anti-pollution standards require a minor adjustment. The power drops to 94 horsepower, but it's more than enough to animate the 840 kilograms of the car. Then in 1994, the XS6 receives a new TU engine increased to 1.6 liters, still with multi-point injection. And here, it's not just a question of power, with 103 horsepower now, but a much more generous torque. 135 Nm against 117 for the old version. Aesthetically, the XS6 bulks up, with a more aggressive front bumper, 14-inch aluminum rim, side molding and fender extension to give it a bit more stature, and a specific interior decoration so we know well that we are not on a basic version. Only one special series will be dedicated to the XS6, the Le Mans, produced in 1,000 copies. Indeed, she may not have the aura of the mythical 205 GTI, but this small, light, and agile bombshell will appeal to any nervous youngtimer enthusiast. Performing, homogeneous, healthy, with a finely tuned chassis, she is a bit more civilized, but remains just as enjoyable. In short, a real pleasure of pure driving without being brutal. An underrated little gem that deserves its place among the classics. The 106 then continues to be a hit with impressive numbers. 340,000 copies in 94, 330,000 in 95. But it's time to give this street star a little facelift. In April 1996, Peugeot therefore decides to give the 106 a facelift. At that time, the Saxo, which replaced the X, took over on the same basis as the 106 with a very round design, typical of the late 90s. It was therefore imperative for the 106 to stay in the game, and for that, we forget the sharp angles to offer its softer curves. Some love it, others regret the sharper style of the phase, but no matter, thanks to this nice makeover, the 106 keeps its appeal and remains totally in the game. In terms of performance, the sports version is gaining muscle. It goes up to 120 horses thanks to its 16 valves, and proudly takes the name of 16, thus replacing the XS6. In parallel, the Rally continues its journey with a 1.6 engine of the same power but more torque. So as not to lose ground, Peugeot, true to its habits, gives a little boost to the model with a range of special series that multiply until 2003 before the 107 takes over. And despite a popularity that never waned until the end of the 90s, sales of the 106 begin to falter from 1998 with 275,000 units, then dramatically fall in 1999 to 136,000. In 2002, it drops to 70,000 sales before ending up at 35,000 in the last year of its career. It's logical. The brand new and shiny 206 made the little 106 look completely outdated. Moreover, the weight of the years didn't help, especially for a model launched in 1991. In 2003, the final 106 rolled off the assembly line, ending an era with no clear successor. It's only in 2005 that a small replacement, the even more compact A107s, makes its appearance. And as cars in this segment become less and less profitable, PSA had the brilliant idea to partner with Toyota to share costs by building a factory in the Czech Republic. But that's another story. Discreet but perfectly successful, the A106 played its role to perfection. Less revolutionary than the Renault Twingo, which, let's remember, made its appearance in 1900 and survived until 2007. It is not demerited in terms of production with a shorter career, but just as striking. While the Twingo made an impression with its originality, the 106 distinguished itself with its seriousness and relevance, allowing Peugeot to stand out in a market that is always competitive and difficult, shared with its cousins Citroën, AX, then Saxo. With its multiple finishes and variations, the 106 had something for everyone, from the first car with the kid version to the small sports car, through more chic versions like the Griffey, the Roland Garros, or the Eden Park. And thanks to its urban vocation and legendary reliability, there are still a plethora of them on the used car market, offering a nice alternative to the 205, now collected by enthusiasts. And do you have memories in 106? Tell me that in the comments. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to find new videos every week.